Hello again, everyone. Tom Nagorski in the Cipher Brief virtual studio for a conversation today about North Korea and the news this week that it has unveiled under construction, but it has reported that it is producing a nuclear-powered submarine, specifically in the language from the North. The reference was, quote, to a nuclear-powered strategic guided missile submarine. And that North Korean leader Kim Jong-un had been inspecting the shipyards where it was being constructed. South Korean experts estimated that the vessel could ultimately carry 10 nuclear-capable missiles. So it's one of those headlines that warrants a conversation and some expert insights. And we're delighted to have with us in the studio today Cipher Brief expert, former Ambassador Joseph Detrani, who served as CIA Director of East Asia Operations and in many capacities that gave him expertise on all things really related to the Korean Peninsula. So great to have you with us,
Thank you, Tom.
Ambassador Detrani. And there are a lot of questions here, but maybe just a basic one for the layperson. And again, I'm the layperson here, but I think a lot of our audience might be too. If you're at any one of your old positions that pertain to, let's say, the East Asia Operations Desk at the agency, and you get this bulletin across your desk that the North has this or is building this nuclear-powered submarine, where on the alert level or concern would that land with you?
Well, I'd be very concerned, Tom. I wouldn't be surprised, but I'd be very concerned. I mean, starting in 2021, I think at the Eighth Party Conference, Kim Jong-un made it very clear he's going to be working on hypersonics, cruise missiles, and I might add, nuclear submarines. So, yeah, and then in 2024, he kind of repeated that.
Mm-hmm.
And then you saw his visit to Vladivostok, the Russian Pacific Fleet. It's pretty clear that Kim Jong-un was very serious in 2021, and he's very serious now, and I'd be very concerned. You know, unfortunately, almost everything that North Korea does, we sort of yawn. It's a one-day news event, and we sort of move on. And obviously we have to move on, but we have to prepare because there are significant developments, not only with North Korea's nuclear and missile capabilities, and we see it now with he's talking about a nuclear-powered submarine, but we also see it with his work with the Russian Federation. So yes, if I was the director of East Asia operations, I'd be very concerned. But if I did my job well, I wouldn't be surprised.
Okay. Now, just before we get to the Russian angle, because it's an important one that you mentioned, on the submarine itself, how does it change the strategic or military dynamic? If it does, what advantages, assuming that they complete the building of this vessel and they have the submarine, how does it change the equation?
Well, it gives them a significant reach. I mean, the recent ballistic missile launches to the West Sea, and it's usually in the West Sea that we see a lot of tension with South Korea. They could reach out to South Korea. They can reach Japan. I mean, they have a Hwasong 19 and ICBM that can reach the whole of the United States. So, yeah, it gives them significant reach and capabilities that, relying on their ballistic missile systems, they do not have. Mm-hmm. But with a submarine, certainly a nuclear-powered submarine, capable of launching up to 8 or 10 ballistic missiles, that's very significant.
And a degree of stealth also, is that right? That is added into this?
I couldn't agree with you more. That's exactly right. And they're doing that with hypersonics also. Right. So, and you have to wonder, where are they getting all this technology from? I mean, there's no doubt in my mind where they're getting it from.
Well, now you're walking right into the Russia portion, right, of this conversation. Well, you just said no doubt in your mind. Should we just assume that this is part of the quid pro quo
Yes,
that's been underway for however long North Korean
that's
troops
exactly
go.
it. Tom,
Yeah.
I totally agree with you on that. Totally agree with you on that. It's not only for in this case, we're talking about a nuclear powered submarine. And again, his visit to Vladivostok and the Russian Pacific Fleet, et cetera, were strong indicators where North Korea was going. But I think equally important or more important was Russia's willingness, Putin's willingness to provide this assistance to Kim Jong Un, to give him these capabilities.
Hmm.
And as we saw with his successful satellite launch, again, the Russian Federation, we saw with the Hwasong 19. I believe he got some of that technology, some of that expertise from the Russian Federation. So, yeah, I think Russia's, as you just said, quid pro quo. I think Russia's helping.
Recognizing excellence in national security, the Cipher Brief Honors Dinner celebrates those who've made a real difference in protecting our nation. It's an unforgettable evening with top leaders in the field. Join us in honoring these remarkable contributions. Reserve your seat now at cipherbriefhonors.com.
Given the help that they're getting from Russia, what is does it change another equation, which is you have argued for the United States to consider re-engaging with the North. One of the things that we have always assumed the North wants and needs is is economic help, hard currency, whatever. Presumably, they're getting that now from the Russians as well. Does this remove some leverage that anybody who wants to deal with the North might have had before?
Yes, I think you're absolutely right. It's moved a significant amount of leverage we had in the past, where North Korea was seeking a normal relationship with the United States, international credibility. Look, I think one of the major diplomatic blunders, errors we made was not seeing Kim Jong Un moving closer to Putin and the
Mhm.
Russian Federation. I mean, this is, whether it's diplomatic, whether it's intelligence wise, this is significant. And I've written in the past saying this is symbolic. What the North Koreans are doing with their 10, 12,000 troops in Russia in the Kursk region is symbolic. No, I stand corrected on that. I'm correcting myself because I think this is very strategic, and I think this is very significant assistance to permit Putin to continue with his war of aggression in Ukraine. So, yes, we've lost a lot of leverage, but I still believe we have some leverage,
Right.
and that's important.
On the leverage question, well, you said that somebody missed the fact that this was coming, the rapprochement between Pyongyang and Moscow. But I guess I would ask, what could we have done, the United States, if we had seen it, and what can we do now? Either one. I mean, it's not one wouldn't assume. I suppose there may be a new U.S.-Russia dynamic now that may change things. But what could the United States have done, or what can the United States do to mitigate or reverse any of this?
Well, Tom, for 4 years, we had no contact with the North Koreans.
Hmm.
For 4 years, we said, we'll meet you anywhere, any place. And that was the extent of it. We didn't talk about sanctions relief. We didn't talk about a path to normal relations. We didn't talk about, joint military exercises. We
Hmm.
didn't talk about many of the things that President Donald Trump talked about in Singapore in 2018.
Hmm.
So, yes, I think we lost 4 years. And I think those 4 years were crucial. And I think it's within those 4 years that Kim Jong Un made a strategic decision to give up on the United States. And he told us that. I mean, he he memorialized it in the Constitution of North Korea, where the U.S. is and the South Korea are their principal enemies.
Right.
And he's given up. He had given up. So I think we could have done more within those 4 years. And I think, in retrospect, I think when the historians look at the events that transpired during that period, and certainly subsequent to that period, I think we'll realize that we missed an opportunity.
And what about now? Uh, uh, we are where we are. If you're on a North Korea desk anywhere, back to where I started, is there we know that Mr. Trump has a penchant for deal making and kind of meeting with anyone. Is there any counsel you'd give to this administration now, given all these developments?
Yeah, reach out to North Korea. Reach out to North Korea. Don't give up on North Korea. Reach out to them, because I still think Kim Jong-un still believes a normal relationship with the United States is the way to go. As his father, Kim Jong-il, and his grandfather, Kim Il-sung, believed, I think he still believes a normal relationship. So yes, I think if the Trump administration gets a message to them about we're prepared to talk about sanctions relief, we're prepared to talk about lifting certain sanctions, we're prepared to talk about actions for actions. We're not going to ask you to denuclearize completely before we sit down with you and give you anything in return. I mean, we have the six-party talks. We have a joint statement of September 19, 2005. There's a lot of history there.
Yep.
And we had Russia at the table with China, and obviously with our allies in South Korea and Japan. So there's a lot of history there. And North Korea was prepared to go that way in 2020, in 2005. So yes, I think there's a lot to propose to Kim Jong-un. But I think it's going to be much more difficult now.
Yeah.
I will caveat that saying, though, it depends on President Donald Trump's relationship with Vladimir Putin.
Mm-hmm.
Because in this regard, Putin now with the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, they have a mutual defense treaty where each will come to the defense of the other, as we see North Korea in Russia. Well, I mean, if the President Donald Trump has this relationship, could he be encouraging Vladimir Putin, to encourage Kim Jong-un to come to negotiations with President Donald Trump and his team, and telling him it's a different equation? In the past, we've just been reaching out to China. We've been saying, China, help us with this. And, the fact is, China hasn't helped with this because of the tension, they tell us, the tension in the relationship, they've not helped. In this case, maybe we go to Russia, as the President Donald Trump is doing with Ukraine, and we say, look, we need to sit down because we may do something of a kinetic nature. This man, this North Korean leader, this dictator, is threatening our allies in South Korea and in Japan, and even they're becoming an existential threat to the United States. So we may have to do something. So could you help us, Vladimir Putin, with this equation? Get them to sit down with us, and we'll propose some things for them, and it will be there in their interest. My personal view is President Donald Trump has credibility with Kim Jong-un, and this could work. Again, but we have to have something to put on the table, and it's no longer the Libyan model. You do everything up front, and then we'll talk to you. Let's engage with them, for God's sakes.
So go to one dictator to get help with another dictator.
There you go.
All right. Last question for you, Joe, is involving China. Back to the nuclear submarine itself. Does that change things at all? I mean, how does that look from China? Do they feel, we've got our own something we might rely on there, or is it unsettling from Beijing's standpoint as well?
This is all unsettling for China. I think with what North Korea has done, Kim Jong-un has done with Vladimir Putin and the Russian Federation, the Mutual Defense Treaty and so forth, this is all unsettling to China. China knows they have a lot of leverage over North Korea, 90% of the trade, the crude oil, petroleum products from China, a lot of that. But North Korea is getting a lot of that now from Russia.
Right.
They're getting the food aid, they're getting the crude oil, they're getting energy assistance, and they're even getting ballistic missile assistance and satellite assistance. So this is very unsettling for China. And I think in some ways Xi Jinping and his team have to look back and say, maybe we should have done more during the past 4 years to get North Korea to sit down with the Biden administration and talk about some of the issues. Because I think now China is not only personally, my personal view, is concerned, but they are also concerned now that we have a new president and there's a new dynamic, and there's a lot going on in North Korea and in the United States, and China is looking at some of these issues and saying, are we in command here? Do we know the particulars? And do we have leverage? And I think they've lost a lot of leverage, but they could regain some of that with Xi Jinping and having the National People's Congress just these past few days. I think they have to realize they not only have economic problems, but they have geostrategic problems.
All right, we're going to leave it there. Ambassador Joseph DeTroni, always great to have you with us. Thanks for joining us
Thank
again.
you, Tom. Appreciate it.